this is semi-professional, which means not professional.
Perfect.
Boom.
Boom.
Here we are. Boom.
So we should do like my poem, where I started like to repeat as a mantra. What shall I write about? We should repeat like 4 or 5 times. What shall we speak about?
No, I'm relaxed. Only now. Bienvenue dans les chroniques inutiles. So, hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I don't like microphones.
You don't like microphones?
No,
Well,
which makes it a bit odd to record a podcast, but
yeah, you know, we shouldn't use microphones. It's old
Yeah.
technology. Why don't they just
Fuck
record
it,
your
I mean,
mind,
yeah.
you know?
yeah.
So, what's up? You do poetry.
Yes, I do.
So,
I mean, usually on a Saturday morning I sleep until really late.
until really
So, but now we record. With
but when we
microphones,
record with microphone. And so, like, how did you start with like poetry and like artistic stuff and like was it always a thing or
I've always had the thing for artistic things, and it's really funny because so in my family I have 2 brothers. One is really more an engineer, is more square and not for like more keen into math. And the other one is a pure artist and he does a lot of theater, blah blah blah. I was a little bit in between.
okay.
But also something different. And it's just something that I struggled a bit with, because people were saying, yeah, are you like a bit more like this or like him? And then I said, oh, I'm something else. But I've always danced since the age of, I think, 10. But then one thing that really I remember from my childhood is that I was listening to these audio tapes, cassette with tales that I inherited from my brothers. So they were from the 80s and a bit old-fashioned because...
What do you mean by old-fashioned? Like,
yes.
so the man is very strong, the woman is very weak, and he has to save her. I don't know.
No. But it was not from my... Because they are older than me, so it was not from my generation.
Yes. You mean pow chicka wow wow type of stuff?
No.
Okay, I don't know.
But it was really nice, and I got used to listen. They were read by really good actors, and I got used to this reading out loud. And I've been always fascinated by it, and I started to do it myself. And sometimes when I was finding a really nice text, I do it sit on. I needed to read it out loud for myself to give it meaning to it, and. So that goes hand in hand with writing my things and reading them.
It's funny because you know what you just said about like reading out loud. It's true that sometimes when I'm reading a text, it's like, what does this thing mean? And then you say it, and when the weird thing happens is when you say it, you start to feel the rhythm of whatever the author was trying to get.
There is a musicality in the rhythm. Although it's really different, because in this last piece I wrote, if you read it. Do
you have it with you?
I have it in my email.
Maybe later.
Yeah, I have it in my email. There are things that you can notice and some rhetorical figures. I don't know that if in English you say it like that when you use these special.
I'm not sure
features.
I understand what you mean. So rhetorical.
No, it must be in French.
Allegory, like styles.
Kind of,
okay. Stylistic type of writing.
And there is one which my favorite one is called I don't know if in English it makes sense. Synesthesia, synesthetic things, like when you take one of the 5 senses and you put it in something which should
you
have
mix
another
them.
one.
Yeah.
So you can have the
So like,
sound of a color and shit like that, and I'm really into it. I really like. So when you read it, it's like in my text it was really clear that I used a lot of games between written words and spoken words, and I mixed them. But then reading them, you don't see the whole thing together, so you maybe pay attention to other things.
What do you mean by you don't see the whole thing together?
Because
it's
you
like
don't see the whole text, so
okay.
you are focused one word at a time.
Yeah.
So, which is also nice, but...
yeah, it is different. But I guess that's also the art of real declamation, I think. Because I did a little bit of stand-up. And the thing is, okay, you have your great text prepared and you think you're bringing it. But sometimes the one little detail that is very important for the joke to work, you didn't articulate it very well, or you didn't take the time to really
and
press so that the people hear and understand what you're saying
and possibly laugh in your case.
And yeah, possibly laugh.
I cannot make people laugh, and like that's a thing. Now I'm obsessed. I want to do a stand-up, but like for the pure challenge of ridiculizing myself. But I will need a bit more time because the poem and the melodrama in my life is so big that I can like write things and like moving things, not moving, move people, let's say.
You can touch people in their heart and whatever.
But I want to make them laugh, but it's a challenge and it's like
it's very difficult. I feel it's very difficult because everybody's got a different humor.
Yes.
And so the funny thing is, I tried it 3 times, and the funny thing was the people who were laughing. Yeah, it's recording.
Okay.
I think. Wait.
I don't know.
Is it moving when we're talking, like on the left here?
Yeah.
So it's recording.
But then the lines.
Yeah, that's normal. I'm not an expert in sound engineering. But still, if you want to hire me and train me as a sound engineer, if you're listening to this, please do. Yeah, it's recording. Okay. Don't worry. We can listen to it later. You can trust me on that. And if it's not, well, we can do another one another time as a trial. But yeah, what I was going to say is everybody's got a different sense of humor. And the thing is, like, the people that actually laugh when I do the thing is people that know me and that they know where I come from and they know what I mean and stuff. And like usually the other ones, they're like, is this a joke? Is this not clear? And what I notice is other people that really make people laugh, they make it very clear, like their jokes. And so it's this thing where, okay, it's not just like making yourself laugh, it's also adapting to an audience, but you don't know who the audience is, so you have to adapt in real time. It's real difficult. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Let's see. I'll ridiculize myself one day.
Yeah, let's try. But I mean, you have a lot of places. There's those guys, Insecure and Dangerous.
Yeah, I went there.
Oh, you tried already?
No, I just went to see someone else doing it.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
It's a bit irreverent, so I'm a bit too pure for that kind of humor.
What do you mean by that?
Sometimes it can be a bit politically incorrect or a bit like dark humor, blah, blah, blah. So
you mean shocky humor a little bit? I don't know.
Yeah, dark humor. I don't know how to explain. Like, which is really religious and politically incorrect. Blah, blah, blah. But I will find. I will do it maybe once, and.
I think. I mean, why I was saying the remark I was saying is there's this thing where. Laughter is also a little bit of shocking. Not shocking, but like surprise. Yeah. And so the easiest way to surprise in a way is to shock people. Yeah. And so, saying politically incorrect stuff or saying...
But I get really like, because I'm a bit naive, and then when they say, how did he dare it? But so I will not make that jokes. But let's see. I mean, I'll continue with my poetry shit, and then let's see.
Plus, also, you don't have to do jokes. I mean, saying like, one, two. I mean, you have rules for jokes or whatever, but sometimes just an interesting character. Yeah.
Or real life. I mean, real life is so ridiculous. And the thing is, like, I think you don't need to invent much because things that happen in the real life can be so tragic, like tragicomic. Let's say that. I mean, I think we all have enough materials of. From daily life of things that happen to us and
true. But
which are really ridiculous and
it's funny because when you say that I remembered, I don't know in which interview, but there was some guy who was saying that he did comics classes and he was explaining how the teacher was saying, hey, don't you know in life you have people, they explain how they went into the metro and it's so funny and so interesting and you're so engaged, and then you have those people, they talk about how they, I don't know, conquered the universe and you're like, oh, or their parents die and you're like, oh, this is boring, and that he was saying like, oh, okay, so parents dying is not important, but whatever. It's from my experience is this thing like, you gotta be able to learn the way to tell a story, which is if you're not used to it, and I don't think I am, it can be quite difficult in the beginning, especially the whole pacing thing of like, okay, this is not important, but this is important for the joke and this is not important, and how to, and that's really an art. But I mean, you can learn it, it's just going on stage a lot.
And I love that in Brussels there are, as you said, so many places and you can just go and they are for beginners and no one cares, and I love how supportive people are with each other. Is super nice. I mean, this one where I performed last Thursday, I mean, there were people singing, rapping, playing and singing at the same time, reading a bit of weird things, and it's so nice that you really feel in a safe place and you can put yourself out there. And for me, it's really important. And it was super nice. Everyone was encouraging each other and being proud of their weirdness. And weird is cool.
Yeah, let's all be weird. Whoop whoop. Weird is cool. Weird is the new black or whatever. Yeah.
That's a good motto. Yeah.
Yeah. You were saying something about. It was very in the beginning, so but you were saying like when you were young, how it can be difficult sometimes when I don't know if it's exactly that's what you said, but like when you're doing different things and people want to put you into one thing. Or
it's not really that, but it's more like that when you have examples, or sometimes people tend to have like types of personality. So you are either an artist or a mathematician or this or that, and I'm really different because I touch upon many things, and so I like different things. And sometimes, since we have this, when you're young, you can start wondering, okay, but what shall I be? Shall I be that? Shall I fit in that box? Blah, blah, blah. But then growing up, you see, I mean, I can be all of them, and I can like I don't know, maybe subtleness and elegance of Japanese woman, but then you can also be earthy and like grounded as an African woman. Like then
you mean dancing now, or
dancing, or in general?
Yeah, or
like,
in general. Yeah.
So sometimes people told me that I don't make sense to them, but quoting.
No, but it's funny why I wanted to ask that is because I have basically the same thing.
You also look like kind of eclectic guy.
And it's weird because in the world today, and it's also kind of one of the reasons I started the podcast, is if you're kind of like a mixed race, or you do a lot of skills, do a lot of things that don't make sense, there's this weird thing when sometimes the people don't take you seriously in a weird kind of way. And whereas back in the days, well, for instance, Italian Renaissance, somebody who was a homo universalis, it was like, oh my God, you can do lots of different, you can do everything. That is great. You are God. We should listen to you. But now there's this thing where, no, you need to be an expert. You need to be good at this and only this. And if you have too many interests, it means you are dispersed, and it means you are not serious. Blah, 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 blah. And
I mean, I still like having one kind of main direction in my life, which is my job, and like it's a personal kind of mission that I have. So for me it's important to have that, but then at the side is all a wide range of activities, and dispersion is the story of my life, and I tend to disperse too much energy in different directions.
Well, but, is it dispersing if you like to do it?
That's the thing.
I mean, I don't remember who exactly, but if you waste time doing something you love, is it time wasted? I don't know who said that. I don't know who said that quote. I should know, but whatever. But that's the thing. I mean, for me, for instance, I noticed that, writing, I've written 2 books now. I sent one of them to an editor, and it's funny because I think if I didn't write them, I would feel incomplete in a weird kind of way.
In your life?
Yeah.
It's odd. It's funny because I had a teacher in high school. It was a bit of a weird guy. And it was a religion teacher, but he wanted to be kind of a life coach or whatever. And he always said that in life, we need to write a book, plant a tree, and give a job to someone, which could be, I don't know, pay someone for babysit, whatever. Like you need to, because job gives dignity to someone, so you need to. And so,
Oh
so
my God.
You fulfilled. I don't know about the other 2. Have you planted a tree?
I haven't planted a tree yet. I mean, I have planted plants, but not a tree, But okay, you plant your tree. Are you supposed to take care of it,
in
or
his
just
opinion,
planting?
just planted. But I
okay,
mean,
I
for
can
me,
do that tomorrow, actually.
And then you would be 2 out of 3. Have you ever given a job to someone?
What do you mean by giving a job?
I don't paid someone to do.
Like for instance, gigs or something for musicians, where I'm like, hey, come play at my thing, and I'll pay you something, I remember doing that stuff, or. Is it giving a job to someone if, for instance, I say, hey, I know this girl, it's Giulia, she's great for this, you will love her, blah, 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 and then
I think it counts.
I'll ask the guy. I don't know.
I'll ask the guy.
Okay, ask the guy.
Goes back to, I don't know, 12 years ago maybe, but it stayed
yeah.
in my somehow. I don't know. You know those things. I would have never thought I remembered it. I don't know. Now it came up.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
that's the thing
school,
with
yeah.
memory. Sometimes, I mean, it depends on people, but sometimes memory does weird things. Like like you said some weird phrases. You remember one of the phrases I also heard a lot when I was younger. Is the phrase, and I remember distinctly each face of each teacher, you know, and the phrase was, "Oh my God, you have so much potential. You could do anything. If only you were serious and you
Yeah.
wouldn't disperse yourself." That's the one that I remember, and in a weird kind of way, it's like it's mixed because that's great. They believe in me, but another time is, hey, believe in my weirdness and stuff,
Yeah.
and that's the one that came to mind when you said teachers that tell
I mean,
you stuff.
I love teachers. It's really, for me, teachers are heroes because I've always
You
had.
gotta want to do that job, I think.
Huh?
You gotta want to do that job, I
Yeah,
think.
it's a mission. I think it's really a mission, and I've been really lucky. Actually, I think I should just do that. Maybe, I don't know. It's always in the back of my mind, but because my dad now he's retired, but he used to be the teacher.
The teacher.
And he was always calling himself magister,
Mhm.
which is in Latin, like it's not only teacher, it's something a bit more.
Yeah.
And he was the teacher, so I grown up with this image of him dedicating his whole life, his really whole life to school and to young people and students. And I have always lived in the school. I mean, I went to the same school where he taught, and I've lived in that school. I mean, it was like a second house for me. So, and then maybe this also gave me.
Continue. Yeah, it's technical stuff. No. Look, it's working. It's still recording normally. Look, if you hear your voice talking into the mic, it means it's still recording normally.
Well, okay. Yeah. Okay. I see it. And
It's recording.
I've had so many like nice teachers, and maybe it was also my attitude because the same teachers, all my other classmates, maybe they were hating them, but I was always been really open, and so from primary school to university, I've always been really like, you know, with a lot of admiration and openness towards what they could give me, which the thing is, everyone can give you something. Maybe it's not the subject that they're teaching. Maybe it's a weird,
attitude,
or maybe it's the way that they speak. Maybe it's how they sit in the chair. I don't know. If you just like observe, you can get so much. And,
but I mean, okay.
Yeah,
so
that was a bit.
No. I want to counterbalance that, and I want to have your opinion on this. Like, I had some teachers, especially at the university. Basically, they got their doctorate, and because they researched like this one special thing which is not applicable anymore, and they would come and they would be like, so chapter 1, it's about introduction, economical theory of microeconomic transactions of blah blah. I did economics, so it's like, and you're like, and he just says that, and I'm like, why am I here? And and sometimes I wonder, what did they teach? I mean, they did teach me about having meaning in life or something, so I don't know. I mean, what I'm saying is just
maybe not always. Sometimes I tend to consciously removing the bad things and just,
always life, the life is positive.
no, not always.
I don't know.
It's a kind of mechanism I have, especially in memories. I mean, in the moment I can be hurted like a lot, but then I have this kind of coping mechanism that then tries, when I look back, to focus on the
bright side.
That, for instance, on a trip I've done, and there were recently many things went not as I expected because of contingency reasons. Like some parts were really tough. But then I still say, I loved it, and like it's not a fake thing. Like that I'm just focusing on the good moments stemming from that the trip. But there were still really difficult moments. So it's
see, this is something I wonder sometimes about, because I want what you said. I tend to think that most people are like that. You know, that when you think about your childhood or something, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, it was wonderful hanging out with this one or whatever. Because it's like the more, like you said, the more you, I don't know, time passes, the more you filter out what you
Yeah.
want to filter out and something. And yeah, and you remember only the good stuff. I mean, it's like, I don't know, like in my travels, usually because I don't plan my travels, it's just like, okay, I have the ticket, I have one night in a hotel, we'll see what happens.
What is the best trip you have done?
Best. I don't like the word best because it's so wide.
Not best, like most.
Okay, give me your word.
Yes.
Another word than best.
Scariest.
Scariest. Oh, Africa, Congo. Because so I went to the region where my mother is from, but like it's kind of a war rebellion type of region, and you know Leonardo DiCaprio made a documentary about it actually, and Virunga, it's the one called. So she's from that region, and so I went there and thinking, oh my god, I'm gonna get killed and blah blah blah, everybody's gonna be corrupted. And the funny thing is like yeah, okay, so there was a lot of misery also, which means everybody's out for money because you need food and whatever, but you know, they weren't violent actually. Like if you were respectful, okay, they were trying obviously to get money and stuff, but it's like if you're not stupid and you can kind of read people, it was okay. I had a great time there, but obviously every day it was like, oh shit, he wants money, oh somebody else wants money. But that, see, this is one of the things I filtered out, for instance, you know, like the whole thing, oh, this is the cousin of the niece of the uncle of the brother of a friend of my father's, his family, and he needs money from the European guy or whatever. So I mean, those are one of the negatives aspects of that trip, and that's what I tend to filter out. And yeah, I keep the good memories of basically nature, meeting people who are so fucking courageous. You're wondering like,
how
why are you doing?
Yeah.
No, like this one guy, it was a doctor. He was like a heart surgeon in America. And the guy is like, you know, he made a lot of money in America and stuff. And then at one point he's like, this is meaningless. I don't like this. And he came back, you know, like to the region, Kivu, you know, to make his hospital and stuff. Nobody supports him of the government or whatever. And yeah, and he's doing his stuff and he's helping people in that region, you know. Or like Dr. Mukwege, I don't know if you know who that is. That's the guy who helped like women who were like their clitoris cut off by rebel people. Yeah, he helped those ones and stuff. Like he's one of the guys, he's well known, he received the Nobel Peace Prize, I think, but like you have loads of them. That's what really surprised me, is like going there were loads of those people who are just so courageous. You're like, wow, how do they do that? It's like have so much energy, and I think it comes back to what you were saying, when you have this mission type of thing, this mission type of energy, I mean, it's like you can move mountains. Because it's like the energy that you have to do your things, it's just so, and the sense and the meaning and whatever, it's just so powerful that you continue on whatever it, even if it's wrong what you're missing. I mean, wrong, what is wrong, I don't know, but yeah, so that was the scariest, but the funny thing was with that trip is I mean, it was probably the most interesting also, in a lot of ways, because I learned a lot about human nature, about how the world works and how business works, and how, you know, another meaning. I saw another meaning of the word corruption, for instance. I mean, if you're, for instance, you're a cop or whatever, I mean, now I'm talking about the locals, you haven't been paid for 1 year, and you're basically the only one in your whole village that has a job to get money, and you see a white guy, and I'm pointing at me for the people listening, you're like, oh my god, I can get a lot of money from him, and then you talk to him, you know, you take 1 hour to talk to him, and you realize, actually I'm like the only one providing for the whole village. You're like, oh, okay. So that means something else. And then, you know, I try to explain this to people here, and it's like, yeah, but if you become a cop, you've signed like a thing where you're supposed to be honorable or whatever, and blah blah blah. Yeah, but it's like, you know, he's trying to feed his family, his village, otherwise they have nothing. It's like, oh, okay, then I don't know. So yeah, in that way it was a very enlightening trip also. Along with the scariest part.
When did you go? When was that?
That was when I was doing my master thesis, so that was like 4 or 5 years ago, something like that. No, that was an interesting one.
You went other times in Congo?
No, that was my first time and only time. I'd like to go again. maybe not in that region, but in Kinshasa.
Mm-hmm.
Because the reason I went there is just to go to pray at my grandfather's tomb, and I want to do the same to my grandmother's. So
A friend of mine is going, I think, next week.
Oh, where?
I don't know.
Oh,
she
okay.
goes to Congo for 2 weeks.
Okay,
and
okay.
yeah.
Like
I've never
for a
been to
job
Africa
or?
for vacation.
Oh yeah. Well, I always say go, because maybe not. It's 56 countries, in Africa, and some of them are pretty cool, pretty nice, pretty safe, and the vibe is very different. I don't think I've seen. Maybe I've been to Brazil also. They also have that vibe of let's just be nice to each other and laugh and stuff. But it's very different. They have this humble energy, and maybe not everywhere in Africa, obviously. But it's one of the things I hear from everyone. So I recommend everybody to go. Maybe not to the region I went to, but like to other places. I mean, I'm thinking of Tanzania, Burkina Faso, or whatever.
Okay.
Those are safe places. If you go to South Africa, it's basically a developed country, there's a lot of places, and the nature is just breathtaking.
I would like to go to Angola.
Oh yeah.
Mainly because of a dance.
Capoeira.
No, it's called Kizomba, but then the kind of the one from which Kizomba comes is called Samba, and it's an Angolan dance. And
can't you find a teacher here or something?
There are schools, but I would like for once to go there, and I've done a lot of workshops with teachers from Angola, and they also explain you. It was really interesting because for me dance is a really serious thing, and especially you need to know where the dance comes from and the culture behind, otherwise I'm really unrespectful if I'm dancing whatever dance from a country and I don't even know what does it mean for the people. I think it's really unrespectful. And I mean, for me, for my
for you.
I mean, people can do what they want, but I like to also kind of.
It's because I did a weird thing with my head. I was like, and then she said, okay. But it's funny you say that because I mean, I don't care. So I'm most I think my greatest skill is in music. I feel, and I don't care about let's use the word steal others people's music.
I mean, I do, and I like to dance, but I also want to understand what does it mean for the people. And then this dance had a really important role when there was a civil war in Angola between the two parts, and so it was even before when there was a Portuguese there, it was kind of really important for them, and even after the colonization, there was a civil war between two parts of the country. And this was really important to keep a bit the country identity, and then also with the diaspora, all the people that went to Portugal. I mean, it was a really interesting story. And sometimes a thing I like to do is I don't really. I mean, the songs are usually either in Portuguese or in Kibuntu, which is a language from there. And I mean, I'm not an expert, and I don't want to claim to be any expert in this culture. Just wanted to understand a bit what was behind. And there are a lot of songs which speak about the war, about diamonds, because in Angola there is diamonds, and all the conflicts behind, and the diaspora, and migration is a topic that really interests me at a lot of levels. So I mean, once I would like to see it danced in the place where it comes from, but let's see. I mean, I'm not in a rush. I will go at some point.
But you know what's interesting? The thing about understanding a culture and a dance, and I don't know if it's the same for dance. I'm talking mainly about not just music, but the soul of a nation. Because that's what I do. If I go to another country, I usually bring my flute you see here, exactly this one, and I go and and I use it to learn songs or whatever. And the funny thing is, when you start to see the history of the nation and how and the role the culture played, there's this weird thing where you this is gonna sound mystical, but it's not that you become one of them, but you start to understand it in a very deep way that makes you even understand the art better that they're doing. And so you might call it cultural appropriation, but appropriation in the sense that you learn about it. That's one of the things I always wanted to do, and I guess UNESCO does the same thing, but it's talk about immaterial art.
Heritage. I think once I saw one now from a music from Cape Verde.
Cap Verde.
Yeah.
Cap Verde.
And so that they made it like immaterial world heritage, and yeah, those things need to be preserved. So.
But it's weird because those things, to me, in a lot of ways, they represent the soul of a nation more because it's not material. You can't touch it. So it's like, oh, okay, this song is from I don't know how many years ago. It represents love between this guy and this woman, but blah, blah, blah. But it's like, it's like, how's it called? Jacques Brel, for instance, he's like this Belgian artist, and in a weird kind of way, he represents like this thing of, we're just poor Belgians and we hate the rich, but at the same time, we accept our fate or whatever. And if you start to learn about him and his songs and what he meant or whatever, in a weird kind of way, you learn more about Belgium than if you just read a history book or if you just go on tour, watching museums or whatever. And but weirdly enough, this immaterial art doesn't get mostly the same type of respect as, let's say, books or maybe poetry. But, poetry is also immaterial because it has to be read or whatever.
But it's easier to value a tangible thing.
Yeah.
And also, for instance, like stories and tales from countries are also super important, and they are going to be lost quite easily if they are not.
Yeah, that's the thing with globalization, which I have. Yeah, so this is the thing with me and globalization. So I went to India, right, and to learn Indian classical music and stuff. So my bansuri is over there somewhere, and like the thing I noticed there is, okay, so they have their culture, like they have it. But the funny thing is, when you look at the young people, like the younger generation, not just the richer ones, but also the normal ones. I mean, they all watch Game of Thrones, and they all know Michael Jackson or whatever. So there's this thing where there's this global culture, thanks to internet and whatever, that makes that everything is kind of connected. And what I've noticed, and I'm a little bit afraid, is that, well, obviously in this global culture, the one things that are more valued is the ones that from the biggest culture. So like, okay, they will value more American stuff, or they will value more that type of stuff, but like their own music heritage, which to me is fantastic. This is my opinion. It's like, but this is boring. Maybe it's the same with us and classical music. I don't know, but like that's one thing I noticed. It's like, okay, everybody like around the world, especially the younger ones, and it also for Africa, right? Like they all watch the same like shows and they watch the same things, and so you're creating actually a kind of mono global culture of things. And and what I wanted to say, which I didn't get to say yet, it's like, I wonder sometimes about those little small pieces of local cultures. What's gonna happen to them? There's like this one place called I don't know if it still exists, but like there's this one theater, and what he does is he does marionettes. I think it's called Tone, and he used to do it in Bruxelles, for instance, which is like the local language of Brussels. And I was talking to like the friend of the son of the guy, and he was saying, the shows in Bruxelles, which is the local like dialect of Brussels, he's not doing them because nobody comes and they don't understand, so he only does in English and Dutch or something, or French.
Do you understand it?
No, I can't speak it, but I understand, Bruxelles. So that's the weird thing. Local cultures.
Also, I saw it with Japanese young people because I really like Japan, and I went, but then I also had the chance to be a lot in contact with Japanese people because I was often tutoring youth camps with a lot of Japanese, and
so we're still we're still stressing that. Okay. Is it still recording? We don't know. Yes, it's still recording.
Okay. And they were all like, I tutored many times in these camps in Italy. Okay. Yeah, I'm Italian.
It's okay, we forgive you.
That's so kind. And so they were all obsessed with Starbucks, and more than Europe, they are obsessed with US. They were like age of 15, 16, 17, and they did not like their things anymore. So it was a bit sad to see that they were all really become Korea, like of course South Korea, even more. They're really westernized a lot. So it's like, I hope that young people, the thing is, we never find attractive our own things. So of course, for me, for us, exotic things are much more like maybe classical. I don't know. Maybe if I see, that's so cool, a book about Japanese literature, blah, 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 and then maybe a book about Italian literature, which is majestic. I still like it, of course.
There's so much great stuff from Italy.
I know, but it just sounds less exotic.
Yeah.
Hence, less. But yeah.
Yeah, but I see what you mean. What's the saying? The grass is always greener on the other side, you know.
Do you think we are attracted by things we cannot have? It's a random thought I had. Like, I do these jumps, and sometimes it's difficult to.
So the thing is, let's go with the human mind for a bit. I think when you were born somewhere, or you've been somewhere, you know, for all your life, that's what you're used to in a weird kind of way. So if I was born, let's say, in an island with like lots of beautiful surroundings and beautiful beach, beautiful sea, and you can see like the fish in the sea and stuff, you know, if I go to, well, let's say the North Sea, and it's gray, and you have big boats, it's like, wow, look at those big boats. You know, look at this gray sea. I never saw a sea gray like this. And the rain. I never had rain so cold before. It's like, I think what humans like deeply is adventure, something new, discovering stuff. Maybe not everyone. I'm pretty sure, and I know some people who are like, no, I like this beer and I like this show and I will only watch this for the rest of my life. But obviously, something that's. But even if you're watching the same show, it's not always the same episode, right? You still want to have a new adventure in the confines of what you know, I feel. So there's this thing of like humans liking adventure, and it's funny how I say humans. Okay, people. So like people, they like, you know, to, and me too, right? To experience new things all the time and stuff. So like I think it's a part of that. So it's like, oh my God, I know all this. I know friet and stoemp and whatever, and beer and whatever. But man, I have never tasted, I don't know, something from Thailand or something. And that's so great to finally go to a Thailand type of restaurant and eat that. So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question.
No, my question was more because then this thing of we always find exotic things a bit more attractive made me think of another thing, but it's more of a personal, not necessarily by person, but that we always want things we cannot have.
Oh, like that. Things we cannot have.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I think.
When we suddenly have them, we don't want them anymore.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to say. To me, it feels a little bit a byproduct of. Don't take it personally. Of consumerism and capitalism. Like.
No, it's like I've actually heard this. So.
Oh, you know what I mean.
No. This thing of it's not a production. Like, it's not my thought. But
yeah. Because the thing is, I mean, so we're in this world right now, right? Where everything that is real is something you can touch. You know, we're out of touch with spirituality. It's like materialism. It's like what I can touch, what I can see with my own emotion. It's everything that's real. So in a weird kind of way, what is a way to have something new? To come back to what I was saying earlier, or to live something new, or it's to have something, or to buy something, or to do something new. And yeah, I mean, I don't know if that answers. So yeah, cannot have. I know that, for instance, there are things that I don't think I will ever have. Let's say a very big villa or something, you know, like a very big villa and overlooking a forest or whatever. Maybe if I work hard, I will have it. But then I wonder seriously, you know, like me and my needs and whatever, would I really want that? I'm not sure I would, because that means, I have to take care of it. I have to pay property tax. You know, I mean, these are just two examples or whatever. Pay people to take care of it, maybe, or maybe not take care of it. I will be far away from people, and maybe I would like to go see people, so I would need to have a car. So this is a silly example, and I don't think you can have everything also. Like, I mean, life is too short. You can only choose a few things and go for them. One thing I would like to have is I would like maybe to go into space, because apparently now if you want to go into space, you can pay like companies 500,000 euros and you can go into space. That's maybe the one thing I would like to have. The final frontier. Fly away. But I mean, I don't know. I think it really depends on the people and the person and what are their values and what they I mean, so you're saying this personally. Is there what's something right now you can't have?
It's something I was thinking.
Justice in the world. No? Peace on earth. No?
No, it's laisse tomber.
No, it's okay.
Because for instance, sometimes languages are really interesting because they express things. Like I was thinking this because I started to write another piece, and you cannot, for instance, oblige people to want. Like there is the imperative of want does not exist.
Yeah.
And like I don't know, in Italian I cannot say why. Like why?
Want this or
why?
desire.
You can't because like willingness comes from you, not from me.
And
that's the incipit of another thing. So yeah, there are things I want, but at the same time, and especially if there is another living organism involved, you can't just
you can force them.
Want.
And
it's like for me, this thing of the language made it really interesting because I sometimes like how a language is built reflects things.
Of course. Did you see the movie Arrival?
No.
Okay, so I did a podcast about it actually, if you want to. But so it's the movie. It's made in 2016. It's based on a book, and actually, so I recommend you the book or maybe the movie. And what she was saying, exactly what you were saying, how the language is a way of thinking and a way of seeing the world. And she was saying like, okay, what if you learned an alien language, from an alien? Would you think like an alien? Would you become an alien? And it's very interesting because, if you would learn the language of dolphins or whatever, would you become a dolphin in a weird kind of way or become I find that interesting. Sorry, I broke you off in what you were saying.
So, yeah.
Yeah, cool movie. I'm not going to say any more if you're going to watch it, but it's pretty cool.
Okay.
It's about, that's the theme basically. And the good thing about the movie and book, I guess, is it's an American thing, but like it's not. First of all, it's a woman hero, but it's a believable woman hero. It's not like what I also found great about this one is every character is believable. It's not like they're like just cliches or whatever. Like the army guy, he's a stereotypical army guy, but at the same time he's doing his job, and you can see he gives the real arguments that an army guy would give. Whereas the scientist, he's doing his scientist, but like he's real or something. I don't know. So yeah, good movie. Wanna recommend it to everyone. I mean,
that's it.
That's it. Should we end on this?
Yeah, we can end on this note.
We can end on this note. Well, go watch Arrival, and the grass is always greener on the other side.
Yes.
One things you cannot have, or one things you can have. That's
but
easier.
But you cannot want. You cannot make other people want.
And you cannot control other people. And you cannot make other people want things that you want. What else? We talked about.
Weird is the new black.
Weird is the new black. Yes. Exactly.
Be weird.
Be weird. Love life.
Disperse yourself.
Yes, disperse. Learn about new skills. Meet people. Have fun.
Do podcasts.
Come to les chroniques inutiles. Yes. We also do it in English, even though I don't speak English that good. But
it will make you a tea. So
we'll make you tea. You have a nice view of grey Brussels.
The canal. I mean, today it really sucks.
Today it sucks. Yeah. No, it's funny. The other day it was like so grey. I couldn't see that building like over there. Like I couldn't see the buildings.
That's the. I mean, I love Brussels, but like deeply. But I suffer a bit coming from the Mediterranean.
Yeah. But where are you from, Italy, actually?
The really south, Puglia.
Well, I don't. That's not Sicily.
No,
it's
but
like
it's
the
southwest, the bottom of the boot, the heel of the boot. Let's say.
The heel of the boot.
So it's a pretty nice place.
I have to ask.
In this, what?
What is your favorite,
food,
specialty food in Puglia?
Puglia. It's a really poor cuisine, I would say, because people are a bit poor. I would say fish is really good, and then we have really good mozzarella and a lot of things, and basically everyone. I mean, all moms and grandmas, they are amazing. So
the mama food is the best.
Yeah, mama's food is the best. Ciao mama, ciao mama.
Ciao mama, bonjour maman, je t'aime.
She will never listen to this, but ciao, mama.
Yeah. Oh, you don't know. You could say, "Hey, look, I said you hi."
In the podcast.
Does she speak English?
No.
Well, she will understand. Ciao, mama.
Yeah, ciao, mama. Saluti da Bruxelles, mama.
Saluti da Bruxelles, Giulia.
She's called Rita. Say hello to Rita.
Hello, Rita. Oh, hola, Rita. Ciao, Rita. Soy François. I don't speak Italian. I wanted to say, how do you say she loves you? Lei ti
ama.
Lei ti ama. Yeah, I wouldn't have
It
found
sounds
it.
really nice, yeah.
Yeah. True. Is there anything else I want to say? No, to me we can't.
You want to say hello to your mom?
No, I already did.
Okay, yeah.
Hello, Dad.
Yeah,
So I don't make any jealous people. Shit, I just thought of something, but I forgot. Oh, yes. Do you go back often, or like? Because I don't know. I've never been an expat, so I'm wondering.
Expat is a cool topic for a podcast. To being an expat, identities.
I don't know what it is.
No, not really. Like 3 times a year.
No,
Christmas, and I stay a bit longer, and in the summer because it's really cool. And maybe last year I went for Easter. I did a surprise. I was not supposed to go, but I went, and I did this. I show up
Hello,
Easter.
surprise.
Yeah. It's something I always wanted to do, and I did. So,
cool.
yeah, I'll go. I don't know when in spring. Sometime in spring.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay, so expats could be a nice podcast topic because
yes. But I need to find some expats and some
we
locals.
Yeah. So if you are an expat,
contact us. We'll talk about expat life. What's it being like? Is it good? Is it great? Is it better to live in your place?
Yeah. It's actually really interesting. It's a topic I always speak about. Language barriers and feeling shit or feeling really great and.
Feeling shit?
I mean, it's not easy to move to another place alone.
Okay.
But then it's also super cool. So.
I don't know. I think the only thing I did that might be so I stayed 6 months in India, right? But the funny thing is, I knew that I wasn't gonna stay there because I was just studying, music. So in this way, I always had I'll go back when I need to. And if I was bored in a certain place, I would just go because I worked and I saved up some money and stuff. And so I knew, okay, I could just go. But really staying in the same place that you don't know any people, it's another language, another culture. It's grey.
Exactly that.
It's grey.
But then it also is really when you make it, and in the end I say, I mean, come on, I'm here, I'm doing a podcast, whatever, in Brussels, and how cool is that?
Yeah, I don't have that much views, but who knows, maybe it's because I don't hit the expat people. By the way, other question, you don't have to answer if you don't want to. How do you feel about the flags being taken away from the EU Council of the UK? You didn't hear about this?
No, not yet.
Okay, so I just saw this morning on Facebook coming home. I saw.
I woke up 10 minutes before coming, so I did not check.
It's okay. No, I saw a video and it was a lot of people cry emoticon on Facebook, and it was two people removing the flag of Great Britain from
I mean,
the
it's
EU Council.
I lived some months in the UK, so I have, and I was living in Cranfield. It was a really small place, a university. And I was there. It's really funny because I was there when they voted. I was living there. And now I'm living here when they're living. So it's a kind of a.
Bye UK. Bye.
I think it's a really stupid move, but this is we can cover this in the expat.
In the expat
podcast,
debate, okay. Well, thanks for listening. Thanks for coming, Julia. Maybe another time. Oh yeah, no worries. It's very good. No, wait, you didn't take the Lipton. You took the organic. It just says organic. You took the other one. So I hope you enjoy. Both you and the people listening, the few people listening, and
we will promote it.
I mean, promote. I don't know what the best way to promote or whatever. But voila, and have a good day, night, whenever,
weekend,
evening, whatever. Blah, blah, blah.
Ciao.
So let's see if it's recorded. Chronique inutile, chronique inutile. Je veux dire merci de nous écouter. Nous écouter. Merci de nous écouter.